Tweet at Dave, at Martin Swagger, about how bad Views was, but how good More Life is. Because Dave was a huge Views fan.
That's not true.
If you go back and listen to our previous discussion on Views,
episode 11, 10 months ago,
you will hear me make no terrible analogies to Drake bullying people and making not looking like a fool now. And you will hear Dave looking like a total fool, saying that Views may be the best album of all time.
Here at SoundCloud.com/NowstalgiaPod, we follow the Kim Kardashian method of receipts.
I would be happy for Drake to drop his next album and totally make me look like an absolute fool. Like, I really would. But I guess...
Absolute fool. Pat Sheehan, you are one.
Yeah,
More Life, fire emoji.
More Life is fire emoji. To go back to that conversation, I think the context of that is I was saying Drake is not that good.
Yeah, you were taking some shots at Drake's body of work.
I still stand
because
by
you didn't like Views.
I still stand by
two totally different discussions.
Views is trash. I think Drake is still a little bit overrated. But this album is really good. Album playlist, mixtape is really good.
Yeah, so let's start with that. Do you care at all that it's called a playlist?
I actually think that's a really interesting direction. You know, Kanye, when he made Life of Pablo a living piece of art that was constantly shifting.
Same Pablo. Yeah. Don't sleep on that song.
he kind of laid some groundwork for this type of thing, and I have to assume him and Drake were probably talking about something like this beforehand.
It's like video games in the day one patch. It's just never over.
What are your thoughts on it? Because I think it's a cool idea to put out like a
playlist. As I've said before, the album in 2017 means little, less than the album ever has before. Chance the Rapper and the Chainsmokers don't have albums yet. That means a lot now. So whatever Drake wants to call this project, it's fine with me. Commercial mixtape, album, normal mixtape, EP. I mean, EP actually is as a length definition. That's fine.
Yeah.
And I think now what we call album is something that the artist puts a lot of tender care into it. It's supposed to flow, have a cohesiveness to it.
Yeah.
That's a collection of songs, not just a bare minimum amount of time put into the project, but there's actually thought behind it. And I guess More Life, which I think is very cohesive, but, it's just supposed to kind of just flow from point A to point Z.
It's interesting, yeah.
Versus tell a grand story.
Well, I mean...
So I'm fine with it being called whatever he wants to call it.
Pretty much Drake's story every time is, I'm sad, I've been hurt, I'm lonely, and I'm trying to deal with it. That's pretty much his concept.
That's 30-year-old Drake. Yeah.
Which is okay, especially because where on Views it came across as like cold, kind of inaccessible, not very fun. He goes in a different direction with this. And he even says like, I believe it's in the, I don't remember which song it was, but he says like, I used to be one way, now I'm trying to go a different way, or something along those lines. I don't remember the lyric. And that voicemail from that lady.
That was his mom.
I think it was his mom, but I wasn't sure.
Your negativity, Drizzy.
Yeah,
that's not what she said, but she was something about him being negative or something.
Yeah, and how he's never going to accomplish his goals if he does that. So he's pretty much embracing that. Yeah, I can be that way, but I should be different.
You're right. The subject matter is not that far off from what Views was, but it comes across so much better because it's not super self-serious. It's not dreary.
And it's so funny because
I thought Drake was like kind of getting away from us on Views, but it's clear that he's still a smart ass dude. He knows what he's doing, and More Life brings it back. He brings everyone back.
Well, and I think actually it's interesting because you said it flows really well, and it does, except for one piece, which is when it goes from No Long Talk to Passionfruit, is like the most jarring difference because No Long Talk...
track 2 to track 3.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning. Yeah.
No Long Talk is like a pretty badass rap song.
Grime song with gigs.
Yeah, and then it goes right into Passionfruit, which is literally like it sounds. It kind of sounds like a passion fruit. Like
Passionfruit's getting hella love.
And it's
smooth
awesome.
Ass song.
It is, and
also probably Drake's softest song.
Yeah, but who cares?
Like
exactly. And no one ever said. I mean, Drake can come across as hard for sure, but I never thought Drake was a hard dude.
Shout out Meek Mill.
His name is Aubrey.
Ask a gangster rapper how it feels when Drake beats you.
So yeah, but other than that, I think the interludes do a really good job actually of changing the tone, and it does shift. I think about like 2 or 3 times.
Well, Sampha has a solo joint.
Sampha, that 4422, 4422, however they say that, is awesome. It's really good.
Find my phone.
It's 4422.
Right. But also Skepta has an interlude as well.
Yeah, Skepta's interlude is awesome.
The Drake
Georgia too.
Right, yeah. Well, and Drake has his gigs, 2 songs with gigs, and he has the song with Skepta. Really interesting to see him going the showing his affinity for grime music, which is English rap from England.
It's a very specific
subgenre
type of English rap. Yeah, it uses electronic beats, and it has like a very specific beat pattern to it.
Yeah, Stormzy released a notable grime record.
Skepta's are really famous.
Skepta's probably the most prolific grime.
Yeah.
I'll see him at Governor's Ball. I'm excited for that.
Are you excited for it?
Yeah.
Grime is okay.
No, Skepta makes good records, though.
He does. He has like 1 or 2 songs I think I know that are pretty good.
It's just cool, though, that Drake's showing love because he's not biting the style. He's not even really being a grime rapper on his songs. Like, people say like he goes from flow to flow or goes with what's hot, and some of that is true, but I think he said in interviews before, he recently interviewed with DJ Semtek's first interview in over multiple years. He was saying how he just really likes he's Drake's a dork. He just sits on his computer in the wee hours of the night scouring YouTube and finding trends and stuff. And obviously grime is much more than just a trend, but he likes it. He shows love. He reaches out and he gives these people shine. Especially a guy like Giggs, who is not nearly as mainstream as Skepta. I think it's a nice thing to do.
Would you call Drake a grime artist now?
No, not at all.
How would you?
Not even close. He has a song with a grime artist twice.
If someone's never listened to Drake, how would you describe him as an artist?
He's very, very diverse, and again, like in hip hop, when he switches up his flows or does a song with a grime rapper, it just shows how diverse he is. So I'm not saying he's not becoming a grime rapper. He doesn't do that in any other songs on the record.
Right.
It's not like he's trying to change himself. It's just the way it is.
Would you categorize him as a rapper?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you categorize him as an R&B artist?
Yeah.
As a dancehall artist?
Not a dancehall artist. No.
Oh,
no.
He would categorize himself as a dancehall.
No, I don't think he would. He would say he makes pop music. It happens to be dancehall music. I don't think he would call himself a dancehall artist.
I don't think he would characterize himself as a rap artist, though.
No, he would.
He said recently in an interview that
with DJ Semtex.
Yeah, when he said that they only categorize me as that because they don't know how to.
Right.
He said because I rapped in the past, and then maybe because.
Did you listen to the other sentences around that? It was talking about One Dance and why it didn't get nominated because they don't know how to give him a Grammy nomination except in the rap category. When he said One Dance, clearly not a rap song, but they won't give me any Grammy love because it wasn't a rap song. But that's what he was talking about.
But dancehall is so heavy, like it's such a heavy influence on this record. I would say at least a third, maybe even more of the songs.
Yeah, I think again, I don't think his delivery or his stylings are actually that dancehall. It's just kind of his beat selection and kind of the mood, But to say he's not he doesn't consider himself a rapper anymore. Listen to Free Smoke, the first song. Can't have everything. There's tons of great raps on this. The song with Giggs.
Which song? No Long Talk.
Yeah. Portland, Sacrifices. There's a lot of good raps from Drake on this.
Yeah, I think he can definitely
he's very diverse.
Spit bars for sure. What did you think of Glow?
It's fine.
Yeah.
Watch out for me. I'm about to glow again. I don't know. It seems like Ye recently recorded that. I'd wager. It's okay.
It's like the most.
It'll get catchy.
Yeah, definitely. But it's one of those like.
I'll think of it the way I think of Waves on Life of Pablo.
I was just about to say
it's catchy, but I don't love the record.
Right, and it's funny too because when I was listening to like basically the content of what they're rapping about.
Yeah,
it's like epitome Kanye, epitome Drake. Like Kanye's like I came from the bottom and now I'm here and I'm fucking amazing, and then Drake's like I'm very unsure about where I am in life.
It does make me smile though when I just think of whatever Ye's rapping about, and then Drake's just watch out for me, I'm about to glow. All right, yeah, okay, I get down with that.
So I guess why don't we? One of the things I wanted to ask you about this because there's a lot to really go through it, but what do you think is the best or your favorite feature You don't have to pick one.
Sure,
pick a couple.
There's a fair amount of features.
Yeah,
and they're good, right? So.
I mean, the only a few I would say are bad. Party Next Door, bad.
PND is on Drake Records because he's on OVO, and he's been a very big disappointment these past few years, and has not changed with More Life.
I thought Griggs on KMT was kind of corny too. She say I'm bad news like da na 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 na.
Yeah, that is probably one of the more corny lines. Yeah. I think Thug is absolutely fantastic on his two songs. Sacrifices and Ice Melts. He's also very intelligible. Like, you can understand him. He's not at his mumble rap, bottoms. I think it's really solid.
Yeah, when I was listening to it as I was driving, and when I got a chance to look, I was like, oh, that was Young Thug. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. I did not know it was him. I didn't recognize his voice, actually. Right. I was like, oh.
It's kind of similar to how he was on Jeffrey. So
also,
changing.
Ice Melts. That people are sleeping on that song, but that's a really good song.
Yeah, second to last song on the record. So is it too long? Sure. Yeah. It's an hour 20, but it's also a playlist. So right. It's just let it happen.
Sampha doing 4422 was awesome.
Yep.
I really thought Georgia was great in her interlude into Together.
I think Georgia is probably the one who will get the biggest bump from this because she's the least well known of anyone on here, and like Giggs and Skepta being on a Drake record puts people on the grind, but it's still not a broad appeal as a genre, so that's not going to make them stars or anything.
Exactly, and it's interesting. I also thought, well, obviously Quavo was good, but I thought Travis Scott was pretty good on Portland too.
Portland is just a banger.
Yeah,
Quavo is very, very quickly becoming excellent on the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Good Drank, 2 Chainz song that's on our Spotify playlist. The original song, Quavo does that hook. Then the version we have in the playlist is the Trap Choir doing Quavo's hook.
Right.
But yeah, he does it again on Portland. Michael Jordan with the tennis shoes.
Yeah.
Michael Phelps with the swim moves. Undertaker with the tattoos, etc. Yeah, and Travis comes in. I think like it's a great song. Drake starts it off good. Quavo comes in for the chorus, right? And then you just hear some auto tunes. You know Travis Scott's coming and he delivers. And then right after that, Sacrifices with 2 Chainz in the first Thug verse. And 2 Chainz is also on a bit of a hot streak leading up to his
I thought he was
White Girls Like Trap Music, I believe is his upcoming album.
All right. Good. I mean, good for him.
Shout out Mr. Chainz.
Wait, is Quavo's name Quavious Marshall?
Quavious, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
When he had, like, how did I say it? He's like, wait, Quavo, what's your real name? And he's like, Quavo. It's just short for his real name.
That's awesome.
I think Galchester is also a banger. Great bars there. And Blem. Blem is not going to go away.
Blem's
going to be hot. That'll be on the radio.
Also, I'm not even sure I know what Blem means. No. I was trying to figure out from the context of the song, and I was like, oh, so he's...
It's a new word.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I'm sure it probably means something with...
It's not phlegm.
No. This might be a weird question. Did any, like, beats catch you specifically? Like, not necessarily the song, but the beat?
That's a good one. I think Galchester's got a really tough beat. But overall, I think it's more about the flow, the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
You just vibe to this, whether it's something like Passion Fruit,
absolutely,
or Teenage Fever, or something with stronger verses in it. But it's more about the vibe than I think any one beat.
I would agree with that, especially that beginning. I think from like song 3 until Blem, like 3 through 7.
Yep.
It goes Passion Fruit, Georgia Interlude, Get It Together, which. Also, the way that he introduces Passion Fruit to Georgia Interlude to Get It Together actually sounds like you're in a dance hall or a club.
Sure.
Like, he has that part where he's like, hold on, I gotta roll the beat back. And then...
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then the Georgia Interlude, it sounds like you're actually listening to the radio when he goes into Get It Together. Because, like, the way, like, he's, like, talking over it, and then it, like, just goes into it, and it gets louder. So perfect.
Then right after that, Madiba rhythm, same thing.
Yeah, and then Blem, obviously, we were just talking about. Also, Lionel Richie is featured in that song.
Yeah, I was just reading that. That's interesting.
I'll have to listen back to hear him on that. I really thought one of the people that might get a bump from this was Murder Beats, because he produced not only No Long Talk, which I thought that beat was pretty fire.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also on Portland, and obviously Portland, we already said, was absolutely amazing.
Banger.
so as a producer, he might be getting a bump moving forward. 40 was great on this too.
You can tell 40.
Yeah,
40 has had a part in every Drake record. He's Drake's best friend. He's Drake's guy. But yeah, 40 has an acute ear for making music flow.
Right.
And even with Views, he had to make the moodiness flow, and it doesn't make it interesting, but it still was put together. And I think he really shines putting More Life together.
Also, can you spot the Kanye song, the Kanye produced song, when he throws this a random sample at the end?
Sure.
Or a random Earth, Wind and Fire sample out of nowhere?
The song is over.
Yeah, exactly.
Except no, it isn't.
Nope, just gonna throw that at the end.
I'm looking at the liner notes here. Background vocal on Passionfruit, Zoe Kravitz.
Ah,
yeah.
Big Little Lies fame.
Yeah, well, she's that band. What's it called?
I don't know.
She performed at Meadows.
Zoe Kravitz. Speaking of the Meadows, actually added a third day, coming back in mid-September this year. And they released some gifts as hints, and one was a Mr. Robot gift, which people are saying it might be Joey Badass. And
shit!
They also
New York.
They also did a T-shirt where that's like flipping around, and people are saying that's probably Migos.
Fuck
so
yeah.
Dave will be back in the Meadowlands this September. Check him out there.
Yeah, I decided I'm not going to Rolling Loud in Florida. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I haven't picked a festival yet.
It's too expensive. I can't go fly to Florida, buy a festival ticket, and stay there for a few days and feed myself for under like $900.
Not until we start getting that podcast money.
If you want me to cover Rolling Loud as for press, hit me up.
If you want to send us on vacations, share us with all your friends. What else do you want to talk about with this album?
So again, Pat, not the biggest Drake head as we've established the past year or so. But how do you, again, the album's not even a week, playlist not even a week old, so
like 3 days old.
It's right tentative to rank anything.
Right.
But how do you think of this compared to his other records? Again, it's a tentative discussion.
Yeah, it's hard.
Even Views is only a year old. But I think.
What do people say is his best one? Take Care.
Take Care is his magnum opus. Yeah.
And then the first one was Thank Me Later. Yeah, Thank Me Later.
Before that was So Far Gone, the mixtape into an EP. That's where Best I Ever Had and I'm Going In, Successful.
And a lot of people also put If You're Reading This, It's Too Late pretty high up.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Take Care, pretty universal number one, right? From 2 on, it's kind of people can talk. Some people like Nothing Was the Same. Some people like If You're Reading This.
I mean, this is probably my favorite Drake project, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's his best. I mean, Take Care.
Yeah, sure. It's two different things, sure.
Yeah, Take Care is probably his best work, but this is just a really fun listen. And
music.
With it being a playlist, this was actually something I was thinking about. If you had to trim it down to 10, 11 songs, you could do that and make a pretty fun record that probably, if you put up against other Drake projects, could be the best one. I think there's a lot of fat in this. We talked about the Party Next Door song. I do think KMT's kind of not that great and probably could be taken out.
A few towards the back,
Yeah, so you could probably cut out a couple of these songs, but I mean, overall, this is probably the most fun I've had listening to a Drake album ever. What about you, Dave? Where would you rank it? Since you are a huge Drake stan, probably the biggest Drake stan I know. I don't know if that's true. Crap at this point.
I've only seen Drake once.
Where'd you see him?
2012, Club Paradise tour.
Where was that? What venue?
That was at SPAC, Saratoga Performing Arts Center.
It seems like a weird venue for Drake.
Listen to his lineup though: 2 Chainz, French Montana, Meek Mill, J. Cole, Drake.
3 of them went in one direction. 3 went in a different direction.
2 of them hate each other now. But fire lineup, right? But yeah. Number 2 is still a hard decision for me. I actually lean towards If You're Reading This over Nothing Was the Same. It's close. I'm not as high on What a Time to Be Alive as other people, so this is obviously above them. This, I think, has potential to be above Nothing Was the Same for me. Probably will be. Because that's another album that has a little fat. But yeah, definitely top tier.
It's going to be interesting.
It's different, It's different than If You're Reading This. If You're Reading This, he was, hyper aggressive. A lot of bangers, and Nothing Was the Same. Was kind of like an extenuation of Take Care, but also his first delving into some of the more moody, self-absorbed stuff that we saw, unfortunately, too much of on Views. So, it's in the grouping with If You're Reading This and Nothing Was the Same for Me at the moment. We'll see how it ages again.
I was gonna say it's gonna be interesting because it's definitely gonna capture a song of the summer. I think with Passionfruit, unless there's some
Blem.
Yeah, or
I think Blem has more potential on radio.
I just see Passionfruit being like a song you're like on the beach with your friends at, and you just like put that on like the speaker you bring. It feels like summer, honestly. But I think it's definitely going to be something that's going to last at least through the summer.
Yeah. And Portland will be a huge club record, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll also be interesting because I think some of the songs like Get It Together, Madiba Rhythm, and Blem are going to be songs that will just be played by DJs, not even really mixed that much because they're already kind of mixed and
almost like transition songs.
Yeah, exactly.
In your set, yeah.
But it's going to... I think the actual rap songs from this might be the things that suffer the most because I think they're not necessarily as memorable other than maybe Portland.
They're not as unique,
right,
as the other stuff. Yeah.
So I think that will kind of take away from it and they'll get kind of lost. Although there are some really good raps in there. Even Free Smoke comes out super hard.
Yeah, I think it's a great intro.
Absolutely.
I think the best Drake intro is Tuscan Leather on Nothing Was the Same, partially because it's incredible bars. So. Again, seeing how the rap songs actually age will be a big tell, I think.
Also, shout out J-Lo. She
changed her number on him.
Yeah, and they also sampled her song "If You Had My Love,"
which I didn't even notice, but that's awesome.
I know. I was super pumped when I heard it. I was like, J-Lo! Like driving my car. It was exciting. There was a person driving next to me that like saw me yelling, and they like were like giving me a weird look, driving up the Taconic State Parkway. So. Shout out to the Taconic. Did not get pulled over. There's a lot of cops there.
Shout out to the Taconic. I used Taconic. Pat Sheen with the driving moves.
Yeah. So I guess just like wrapping up, I do look like a total fool, but good for Drake. I'm glad he made me look like a fool.
Check out SoundCloud.com/NowstalgiaPod, episode 11, 10 months ago, if you want to hear our discussion of views. Pat had some fire takes.
Some very fire takes.